Diane, my mother-in-law, helped me secure a position at my husband's company. I now earn a high salary while gossiping with the entire office about my husband and his crush. On the day of our divorce, I wore a bright smile while my ex-husband looked red-eyed before me. "Darling, let's get back together," he pleaded. "Sorry, I don't recycle garbage," I replied. After 3 years of marriage, Ryan never stayed home at night. Out of desperation, Diane secretly arranged for me to join his company with a monthly salary of $500,000. "Mom, you can trust me." On my first day at work, I quickly realized I was no match for his new assistant, Emma, the same woman who left for overseas studies on our wedding day. Less than a month into her role, Emma had clearly won Ryan's heart. One evening, he bluntly admitted he only loved her and vanished for the night. I chose to endure, taking an unremarkable sales position. But staying quiet isn't my nature. Within half a day, I had integrated myself into the gossip circles of my colleagues. Every break became an opportunity to dish out stories, especially about Ryan and Emma. Emma returned 2 months ago, moved into Ryan's villa, and shared her daily commute with him, enjoying numerous privileges in the company. Together with my colleagues, I started a betting pool. I wagered $100 that Ryan would divorce his wife in 2 months. Watching the pot grow was oddly satisfying. One day, I bumped into Emma by the coffee machine. She froze, her smile stiff. I decided to take the lead. "Let's make a deal," I said. $500, and I won't mention your special privileges to Ryan's family. Deal? Shocked, Emma hesitated before adding me on social media and sending the money. $5, you can't tell Ryan I extorted you," I joked. Emma stared at me like I was insane. In silence, she handed over the money. This partnership had potential. "How about this?" I added. "Pay me $1,000, and I'll be your informant. Anything about Ryan? Extra $200 per tip." That night, I returned home to find Ryan on the couch. He didn't even glance up as I walked in. Diane, irritated, shot me a look before heading to the kitchen. I quickly gestured for her to keep calm. After all, her anger could mess up my alimony later. Ryan finally looked up, his face a mix of frustration and hesitation. "Do you have something to say?" I asked softly. He shook his head. "You wanted the divorce, didn't you?" At that moment, Diane reappeared, spatula in hand. "Ryan, are you bullying Olivia again?" she barked. Without a word, he left. At dinner, Diane comforted me, saying, "Don't worry, Olivia. He's just been blind for too long. He'll wake up eventually." I thought to myself, let him stay asleep. If he wakes up, he'll realize how much better off I am without him. It's going to be troublesome. "Mom, you can relax. I'll take care of seducing him. Actually, it's for his own good. Get Emma to take his position sooner. Help me get out of this mess." Along the way, I made sure to send a text to Emma. "Ryan stormed off because of me. Expect him to come to you. Behave well." Emma promptly transferred $200. Diane gave me a plan. "Tomorrow night, Ryan has a gathering. I'll have his colleague get him drunk, then give you the news so you can take him to the hotel while he's drunk." I was fortunate to have a good relationship with Diane. Otherwise, if she played some new tricks on me, I would have woken up on Ryan's bed the next morning. Wouldn't that be crazy? Putting the blame on me would definitely leave a lasting impression on my husband. Diane was touched and handed me a USB drive, saying it contained 10 gigabytes of resources. I turned around and went straight to resell it. "A gift from Ryan's mother. $5,000, do you want it?" Emma directly transferred the money. "Tomorrow morning, I'll leave it at the front desk wrapped in a red gift box." Diane is a decisive and influential woman in Ryan's family. She warned to get someone to get Ryan drunk, and who dared not to listen. That night, several department managers took turns trying to get Ryan drunk successfully. It was my turn to step in. With the help of one of the managers, I escorted Ryan to the presidential suite prepared by Diane for our first time together. The suite was obviously meticulously decorated with all sorts of fancy amenities. I didn't go easy on my husband. I immediately took a picture of Ryan's bed and sent it to Emma. "It's $10,000, no less." Emma transferred the money swiftly as always. Just as I received the payment, Ryan suddenly sat up straight. His eyes were red as he looked at me, tilting his head. "Olivia?" I nodded and pushed him back onto the bed. He raised his hands to struggle, and I quickly reassured him that I wasn't interested in him and that Emma would take care of him later. He immediately stopped moving. As I turned to leave, Ryan suddenly jumped out of bed and grabbed my wrist. "Olivia, don't go. I want to have a baby with you." Ryan seemed to have gone crazy, trying to pull me onto the bed. Luckily, I had some self-defense skills and managed to subdue him on the spot. He winced in pain and soon dozed off. I slapped his face hard twice, and soon Emma arrived. Emma looked shocked at my disheveled hair. I comforted her. "Don't worry, I won't touch what I've sold." She immediately looked admiring, and I waved her off. It's more practical to transfer the money. And I earned another $5,000 while holding back tears. I closed the door and looked at the balance in the account, feeling a bit touched. But the real touching part was yet to come. Ryan, 3 years of marriage, 3 years of longing for Emma. Our marriage was also coming to an end. I took the pre-booked room key, checked into the room opposite, took a nice bath, and went to sleep. The next day, the alarm rang at 7, and I called Ryan on my phone. He answered quickly but didn't speak. I asked him where he was. "In the apartment in the eastern suburbs." I asked, "Ryan, why do you sound so hoarse? Are you sick with a cold?" "Probably." "All right. Take some medicine for your cold then." I hung up the phone and sat by the bed for 5 minutes before sending a message to the journalist I had contacted. "Ryan, since you dared to deceive me, I'll make you pay immediately. Ready to act. People who take money never disappoint." 10 minutes later, through the peephole, several sneaky journalists surrounded Ryan's room, one of them pretending to be a waiter knocking on the door. Shortly after, Ryan and Emma appeared at the door, both in hotel bathrobes. The journalists went crazy taking pictures, and Emma was so scared that she directly threw herself into Ryan's arms. Ryan immediately cursed the journalists and closed the door. I settled the final payment with the reporters, grabbed my bag, and hummed a tune on my way to Ryan's company. Just as I sat down, I overheard Ryan and Emma's juicy gossip. I immediately expressed my interest. "I want to bet on it. $200 says Ryan and his wife will divorce before the end of this month." An hour later, Emma privately messaged me seeking advice. Diane wanted to see me. Before I could name a price, she transferred $10,000 to me proactively. Feeling happy, I took the money and earnestly pointed her toward a path of success. "Stay true to yourself. Don't forget your original intentions." But what I didn't expect was coming home from work. Everything was harmonious at home. Diane and Ryan were there, both acting like nothing had happened. Ryan even changed his usual cold demeanor, handing me my slippers. At the dinner table, Diane even mentioned promoting me. "Olivia, since you've started working at the company, don't stay in sales. Tomorrow, go directly to work as Ryan's assistant. Working together as a couple will be so beneficial." All I wanted was to end this marriage. Though I agreed on the outside, I promptly messaged Emma. "What's going on?" Emma replied, "Diane is giving too much. But one can never have too much. No one would reject more. Otherwise, Emma wouldn't have joined Ryan's company." I planned to leave her hanging for a while. I obediently followed Diane's arrangement and became Ryan's assistant. On the day I left the sales department, everyone looked at me in shock, never expecting I'd turn out to be Ryan's wife. Don't mind them. I'm just a name without substance. I won't be for long. Remember our bet? As I turned around, I bumped into Ryan. "What bet?" I immediately signed to assist. Ryan never ordered me around, even gave me the most comfortable seat, because I loved sleeping. He even bought a big bed and installed a curtain for me to lie down whenever I wanted. I started feeling agitated. At this rate, I would be turning into a useless person to be kept by Ryan. So I activated the La Vida Ve mode. I posted social media updates all day. "Ryan is looking so handsome today. He bought me a big gold bracelet. Ryan gave me $5 million to spend." Finally, Emma took the bait. "Don't talk nonsense. There's nothing between me and Emma." I nodded seriously. "I believe you. You indeed have nothing with Emma, but seeing her pale complexion and weak walk, clearly suffering emotionally and mentally recently, I think you should personally take her to the hospital, both out of moral and logical obligations." Ryan was a bit surprised. "You're not angry? My husband enjoys helping others and friends. Why would I be mad?" "Thank you." Without another word, Ryan grabbed Emma and left. That night later, I found him lying there. "Emma, Ryan is in my bed." I'll give you $5 to get him out. Luckily, Emma was quick. She called Ryan in less than 3 minutes. Ryan hesitated for about 10 seconds before answering the call. Shortly after, he grabbed a jacket and said to me seriously, "Sorry, Olivia. Emma fell down the stairs. I have to check on her." As he reached the door, he paused. "Olivia, I promise this is the last time." I guess Ryan was starting to see my strengths. Feeling troubled that Ryan might change his mind before the final 28 days, I breathed a sigh of relief and went for a manicure after work. In the living room that evening, Diane, Ryan, and Emma were all there. It seemed like my plan was working. I changed into slippers gently and got the desired outcome, a divorce. The divorce agreement was fresh. I got 3 houses under Ryan's name, $30 million in cash, plus $200,000 alimony per month. I decisively signed my name. Diane looked at me, wiped a tear, and sighed. "Ryan, you're an adult now. Don't recycle trash." I flaunted my divorce certificate in the sales department, earning an extra $2,000. I invited everyone out for dinner. That day, I had a moving company pack up my things from Ryan's place and moved into the villa I had prepared 6 months ago. I called Cindy to share my good news. With connections from both my and Ryan's families, I had cleared out my savings a year ago to start a foreign trade company. Cindy acted as the face while I operated behind the scenes. "Now don't bother inviting me to your wedding, Ryan. I don't want to bring gifts." As I retreated to a corner, the event turned into a gossip hub with all eyes on me, Ryan, and Emma. About to slip away unnoticed, a man strode in purposefully. John, 6 years older than me, with some family connections through Diane's side, called out uncle as I always did with Ryan. Leaning against the doorframe, John's aggressive gaze on my face made me feel a tinge of danger. John proposed a business opportunity, and though it caught me off guard, I listened. "Olivia, you're living up to your reputation," he said with sorrow. Walking over, John added, "Olivia, I just learned how formidable you are today." Knowing he misunderstood the situation, I couldn't be bothered to explain. "If it sounds a certain way, let it be." Ryan, fists clenched, demanded, "When did this happen?" I retorted, "Just now." "Does it matter? Remember your place, Ryan." In that moment, I made it clear that what I did was my own business and it was done openly and honestly. John, backing me up, remarked, "Olivia, feeling adventurous? How about another round?" A small profit in less than 3 months of working with him. To show my gratitude, I planned to treat him to dinner, but he insisted on paying. Just after dinner, I ran into Ryan. He was drunk and looked at me like a hungry dog eyeing a bone, nodding and walking toward me. "Olivia." He reached out to hug me, but before I could react, John stepped forward, offering Ryan his sturdy chest. "Look closely." "I'm John," John said seriously, but as I looked at his slim waist and perky rear, I suddenly felt a bit distracted. "Ryan, where have you been all this time?" There's a saying, late love is cheaper than grass. How unfortunate. I quickly took a shower and went to bed early. The next morning, as I opened the curtains and stepped onto the balcony, stretching lazily and yawning halfway, I froze. John, wearing a gray loungewear set, was leisurely standing on the balcony of the villa next to mine. "Good morning." After breakfast, I finally saw the private message Ryan had sent me. It was around AM, all voice. He sent me a voice message. I answered the call, and it was Ryan's voice, hoarse. "Olivia, you really used all means to divorce me for John, huh? Ryan, do I need to involve someone else to divorce you? Do you have no conscience?" I said I have nothing with Emma. Ryan kept sending me voice messages, all of which I rejected. After hanging up on about 10 of them in a row, he sent a message. "Olivia, you will regret it." Sighing, I also blocked Emma. I thought there might be no more opportunities to earn extra rewards before she mentioned she couldn't stay here anymore and planned to look for someone to take over abroad. I wished her the best, then we deleted each other's contact information. Before deleting, Emma praised me a bit. "Olivia, Ryan really doesn't deserve you." Ryan probably had grown to hate me. Soon enough, he started to create obstacles for me. In just 2 months, our company had lost several clients. Cindy was very anxious, constantly saying she wanted to confront Ryan, but I reassured her. Cindy was a bit dazed. I said, Ryan has made a huge mistake in the market, rushing to compete with me for business without checking the background. This is Leo, who is heavily in debt behind the scenes. If Ryan partners with him, it's just going to dig a bigger hole for himself. Doesn't he like snatching other people's business? Well, here's a gift for him. Cindy hugged me tightly. At this moment, John called. Will you have dinner with me? I didn't refuse. At the Western restaurant, clinking glasses, I smiled and said, I'll give you 10% of the orders. How about that? I raised my glass. John didn't clink glasses with me. Instead, he leaned his head on his hand and looked at me, somehow a bit flirtatious. My heart rate quickened. I rode home with John that evening. Before the car even entered the garage, I saw Ryan standing at my doorstep. It had been a while since we last met, and he looked much thinner. Seeing me getting out of John's car, Ryan's gaze fell directly on me. Finally, he approached me and said, Olivia, how did you manage to endure being a widow for so many years? We're divorced, and you still want to insult me? I didn't mean that, Olivia. That's not what I meant. Ryan pursed his lips and glanced at John. Anyway, you and John are even now. If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. Let's remarry. Before I could respond, John got out of the car. He wrapped his arm around my waist. I felt like John was taking advantage of me, so I couldn't help pinching him on the waist. Suddenly, Ryan's gaze became quite menacing. Olivia, you... John was joking, but he was serious. From then on, he greeted me every day on the balcony, even changing into pink love-themed loungewear. Every morning before heading to work, he would be standing at my doorstep holding a rose. In the afternoon after work, it was still him, but this time with a bouquet of flowers. Although I didn't agree to John's pursuit, rumors in our social circle started spreading about John and me being in a hot romance. His pursuit was too intense, and I faintly felt that I couldn't ignore it. Ryan, however, stayed silent. Yet every time I heard about him, I pictured his miserable figure, but I couldn't seem to calm down. Every time I heard about Ryan, I remembered what Emma once told me. Olivia, be careful with Ryan. I decided to meet up with Ryan. He seemed like a ticking time bomb now, and I thought it would be better if I took the initiative instead of letting him take control. I took a deep breath and said firmly no. Ryan's face darkened. So, Olivia, you went out of your way to divorce me, set me up for a big fall, did all these things to me, and yet you cry now? Ryan, you're a wicked man. I cried as he hit me, but then he suddenly softened. I'm sorry, Olivia. It's all my fault. I realized too late that I love you. Can we start over? Just then, my phone lit up with a call from John. I rushed over as if in a frenzy, but before I could answer the call, Ryan grabbed me. He tied me up and threw me into the utility room next to the living room. Olivia, I'll make you realize John doesn't love you that much either. Your choice is destined to be wrong. Then Ryan used my phone silently. I felt there was something dangerous behind those slightly tinted glasses. But when he spoke, his voice was clear and gentle like a breeze in March. Why did I fall for Olivia? Probably because of you, Ryan. It was the first time I heard John speak so calmly from our first meeting to the present interaction. The first time we met was at your wedding. Ryan, you probably didn't notice, but Olivia loved you. I felt sorry for her back then, thinking she loved the wrong person. John stopped mid-sentence, probably holding back the most bitter part. But tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I had loved Ryan in the past so brutally. It was only when I divorced him that I could be so decisive, so merciless. I did love Ryan once. Unfortunately, he didn't know, but John saw it all clearly. John looked sympathetic. Ryan, have you ever thought about something? Why does your mom like Olivia so much? If she didn't love you, would your mom like her this much? Ryan looked tense, lost in his thoughts. John continued. Later on, I noticed that resilience. You were angry with her for plotting the divorce. But have you thought about what you were doing during those 2 years she gave you a chance? Ryan, do you think you deserve Olivia back? When you didn't want her, she was nothing. Now that you want her sorry, you can no longer afford her. I thought Ryan would go crazy, but in the end, he sat on the floor, crying loudly. So, she did love me. And then, the door of Ryan's house was knocked open. The police and Diane rushed in together. Ryan, Diane called out, her voice tense, while I teased John, saying, "You were so calm just now, weren't you?" John couldn't resist cursing. "You loved Ryan." It was a secret I intended to keep forever, but I ended up spilling it all out. How can I be calm? You heartless woman. I leaned against John, laughing uncontrollably. "John, I never knew you liked me for so long, waiting for my divorce every day. Was it easy for you? You have no idea how I spent this past year. I wanted to come find you, but I was afraid Ryan would." John paused mid-sentence, his voice trembling with emotion. Before he could finish, Ryan interrupted, his eyes red and swollen. "I didn't realize, Olivia. I failed you. I let my pride and selfishness blind me. I should have fought for us when I had the chance." Ryan stood there, trembling, tears streaming down his face. Diane, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. "Ryan, it's too late. You threw her love away, and she built herself back up without you. Let her go." For the first time, Ryan seemed to understand. He collapsed to his knees, defeated. I stepped forward, my voice calm but firm. "Ryan, I loved you once. I gave you everything, but you threw it all away. I've moved on, and you need to do the same. There's no going back." John, still holding me protectively, added with a smirk, "You had your chance. Ryan, it's my turn now." Ryan's voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry for everything." I turned and walked out with John, leaving Ryan behind in the wreckage of his choices. I'd found my way out of the darkness and into a new chapter of my life with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future.